Hello, chefs. This is Chef's PSA. I'm your host, André Natera. Today, I'm joined by Chef Kyle Knall, the culinary director at Stonebank Farms and the chef at Birch in Milwaukee. He's a three-time James Beard semifinalist known for redefining Midwestern cuisine. We talk about balance, opening restaurants, and what hospitality really means. Stay tuned. Great restaurants don't always bring customers in. Great stories do. Because in food, beverage, and hospitality, what you sell is only part of the story. It's the why behind it, the authority you create, and the experience that you build. Market Scale turns expertise into content that connects. Podcasts, video series, and industry education. Not ads, assets. Market Scale has brought Run the Pass and How to Manage Like an Executive Chef to life. Real-world examples of how great content leads the conversation. Because attention is earned, and the industry doesn't need more noise, it needs more leaders. So October, new restaurant, huh?
Yeah.
So what's the new place going to be?
So it's going to be called Cassis.
Yeah.
And we thought, so my wife and I are building this one together, which is pretty exciting. We've never actually done a full project together.
What about the current restaurant?
Well, so we moved to Milwaukee. We opened Birch. Our son was 2. We had a daughter 2 years later. So she's been the core of our family to make sure it stays together. So she really focused on that part of it.
Yeah.
Now they're at an age where they're in school and preschool and all that good stuff, so she can fall back into participating, which she always said she would never want to do.
Yeah.
But now it actually goes to show, like, moving from New York to Milwaukee, life's better, and it's like, yeah, I think we can do this. It's a little different here, and it feels better.
Milwaukee's a great food city. What's going to be the major differences between Birch and Cassis?
So Cassis is going to be a French bistro. We say the inspiration is like Balthazar Pastis and La Mercerie in New York. And to me, those are like, they're totally different. Well, Pastis and La Mercerie are totally different, but I love so much about each in different ways where we're drawing inspiration from both. But an all-day brasserie, big 200-seat restaurant.
Yeah. Whoa, that's big.
Lunch and dinner. Hopefully you'll feel like you're in Paris.
Yeah.
So
what's exciting you right now about what's going to be on the menu?
Well, the fun thing is, for about 6 months, we've done a pop-up once a week or once a month at Birch for Cassis.
Okay.
And so we've already been through maybe 35 dishes.
So are you doing the pop-up so you could work through some of the dishes and like test the concept a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, like walking through the dining room as Birch, I talk to people and I'm like, hey, how's everything? And that's a conversation we want to have. But when I do it for these pop-ups, it's like, no, truly, let's have these conversations so that we can change some dishes. We did like a chouquette with foie for a little bit, and we ended up going with eclair, like a small eclair, because people like that better. And we kind of understood that. And so now that will be probably on the opening menu, is like a little eclair filled with like a foie mousse. So we're using it as a tool to learn, to test stuff. I'm sure we'll probably redo it all.
Yeah.
But it's also like super cool for Milwaukee to be like, oh, our new restaurant is opening. And by ours, I mean Milwaukee. Let's go check it out tonight. And it's fun. It's all it's about is fun.
How far apart are they?
In
terms of distance?
Yeah, like 2 miles.
Okay.
So
So
they're down the street.
have you like started thinking about how your day is going to go now?
Oh, that's where it's the most exciting part.
Yeah.
So my mentor, Frank Stitt in Birmingham, has 4 restaurants, and they're all pretty close. And you can see Frank, Chez Fonfon, Bottega, and Highlands all in the same night. And to me, that's pretty awesome. And I hope that's how it works out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to chef at both places, or are you going to have a chef as you're expanding the empire, kind of, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to definitely create different structure now. Great opportunity for the current chef, Zach, at Birch. But I think with Cassis, I'll definitely open with someone who is like truly like the chef. We have someone that's on board now to help develop, and I think he'll bounce back and forth as like a corporate chef type. But I really want to see the team like take it as their own, which is hard for Birch, I think, actually more than anything, because Birch is like who I am
On a plate.
Yeah. In the hospitality, the wine list, everything about it. Like it's become the core of my family and who I am. And everybody, there's been a few interviews like, well, what's going to happen with Birch this year? Because people will think like Kyle's opening a new restaurant. He's not going to be a Birch. Is it going to change? My answer to that is my goal is that Birch takes on a new level over the next year and actually becomes better. And that's the whole idea of expanding is that, and I told my landlord this, it's like, look, for Birch to be here in 25 years, we have to grow. So I don't have to rely on this one restaurant to support my family.
What is something that you learned that was difficult, like a difficult lesson when you open Birch that you're going to definitely make sure doesn't happen when you open Cassis?
So Birch was this like kind of crazy thing. 2020 moving to Milwaukee, newborn, left. I opened a hotel and restaurant in New York with Steven Starr before I left, which took like 2 years. Writing recipes, tasting 110 dishes with Steven, and there's just so much development through it. Where we moved to Milwaukee, Birch was a restaurant that closed. I reopened it, and it was just like really me and this cook named Zach that worked at Gramercy as well. Long after I did, and we kind of just did it, and it was like really easy and no pressure. And then we just evolved from there, and it was great. It was like it's the perfect organic situation where the old owner could get out. I could find a job after moving from New York. So it was really easy. So I would say like I learned a lot at Star that I want to make sure I do and don't at Cassis. And I do think some chefs think you can put all this work into recipe development and systems and kind of overdo it. To me, it sucks a little bit out of it, like the excitement and the soul of it, I guess. Like when guests finally come to the restaurant, you're like, well, we've been doing this for like 6 months. There's not this excitement anymore. To me, I want to make sure that when we open, it's new to us still, and it is exciting, which is like for some people and some chefs even that work with me, and they're like, that's a lot, and like, why would you do that? But I do think you create this organic energy that you want guests to experience just like you experience.
That's an interesting way to approach it. How do you what's the R&D process look like currently for you? Like, is it just you, or do you have a team and everyone's coming with notebooks and ideas, or what's the brainstorming creative process look like?
I hired this guy named Matt. He's my culinary director. Since I've hired him, our pastry chef actually left Birch, so he now runs the pastry program, and he has a great experience with it. So he does that. But when we sit down the Friday after the Cassis pop-up, we say, okay, what are your next dishes you want to do? And what do you want to repeat? So we talk through that, like probably 18 dishes. And then if they're new things, and the desserts always change, he'll put the desserts together. We'll taste them. The other things we'll talk about. We'll look through cookbooks, and we'll taste them. But they're like, it's really trial and error for most of them. But now there's like probably like 8 things that are like, we love this and we should keep it on this menu through these pop-ups, so that guests coming in that have now been to a few can start to feel, okay, this is what Cassis will be.
So for people listening, like let's say I'm a young cook and I want to open up my first restaurant. What are some things like what is like the first few steps that you need to take to get your restaurant going from a business standpoint?
I think like having a cohesive idea from like the front door to the back. And I learned that a lot through trial and error, opening restaurants in New York and New Orleans, to where Birch was, we didn't have a GM for like 2 years because I never found anybody that I love and trusted. So I just did it. We had a great service team and I trusted them. But like the decor, the wine list, the hospitality, the food, it was all something that I touched and felt good about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think restaurants can lose that or not achieve that, where it's like, well, the food is awesome, but how does the front of the house feel? Does it feel genuine? Like we talk about the statement, be thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
We have it taped above every sink. So when you get a seafold out, you see it.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that truly the seafold, it's like, okay, you see that, don't waste any seafolds, use what you need. But when you think about be thoughtful, obviously that means hospitality and take care of the guests. But it also means treat the vegetables and all the mise en place well, treat the farmers well, treat everybody in a great way. And so like you have great food, but if you don't have that part of it, I think in the whole restaurant, it doesn't work. So I do believe in this like common thread across the board. And I think with wine, like Jeff, our GM, writes the wine list. I try and taste probably 80% with him, what he tastes. But like we have probably one California Cab on our list. And the idea is that like the wine goes with our food. It's not about really anything else. And so I think having that common thread is totally key.
What about like how do you go from like, sorry, I'm gonna backtrack. I want to make sure I ask this correctly. When you're looking at a new restaurant, you're looking at the real estate. How do you raise the capital to get in there? And you know, are you trying to be the only partner? Are you looking for investors? And then when you do get in the building, maybe it's a second gen space. Are you looking for used equipment? Are you going brand new? Like, what does some of that process look like?
So I've personally, I think I've had like we opened Maysville in New York, and I came on 2 months before we opened as the chef and partner, and then I left Gramercy Tavern to be the chef there. And I was really young, and it was an opportunity, and it was awesome. So I didn't do any designing. The funds were raised. It was a restaurant that was already basically ready to go. It just needed a menu. So I got to do that and feel that out, which was great, and it really worked out well. We opened a second restaurant in New Orleans, and I got to design the kitchen and do what I wanted. But honestly, like, it didn't feel as great as it organically did when we opened Maysville. And then opening with Steven Starr, we had like the bells and whistles. We had like 4 kitchens. We had a room that was for butchering, and there was no soul to it. So it's like, yeah, is that what you want? I remember telling a friend that worked with me for a long time, I was like, yeah. Bill's like, oh, how's it going? I was like, I think I have my dream job. I'm opening a restaurant with Steven Starr. And he said, well, I thought your dream job would be what you did at Maysville, like an independent restaurant. You get to do what you want. It's not in a hotel. And it made me realize, he was like, I think he's right. It's like, I was much happier in that space. And I think Birch has become the thing that was kind of the medium of them all. It was like, it was already set up, and it's a kitchen that was poorly designed, but that's fine. I mean, I think if it sucks that cooks have to deal with it sometimes, and they get frustrated, and I can see it, and it's like, well, it's out of our control.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's not what matters. It's like, let's just, I don't know. The food is what matters. The hospitality is what matters. But I think it's okay to deal with things. I think it's okay not to, I don't know. At the same time, yeah, design something like Cassis. I'm designing it, doing it all. I want it to be efficient.
Is it all new equipment going in there?
I mean, it's brand new space.
Everything.
I mean, the concrete's getting poured next week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like ground up real estate,
right.
Everything. Yeah.
So it's like the exact opposite. So Birch was a restaurant for 2 years, closed in 2020. Husband and wife, bad breakup. She was stuck with a restaurant, and then I actually operated it for 6 months and said, hey, let me buy it from you. 6 months in, I will. Let me run it how I want. And then it was like a dream story. It was perfect.
Yeah.
She was successful. I got to have a restaurant in Milwaukee, and it truly is like, the best restaurant I've ever been a part of.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible, chef.
But like the difference is like you're handed this, deal with it,
Yeah.
design it, and make it what you want. They're both awesome.
Uh-huh.
I think it's interesting. It's like just focus on what actually matters. I'm
Which
actually just making things good. Like,
Yeah.
don't sweat the small stuff. It's funny to say, and after having kids, I really like kind of changed my way of thinking. It's like, let's not overthink things and let it be about ingredients. And I don't know. I think you can feel it in like great food.
You know, I know we've talked a lot about hospitality. How do you go about curating a great hospitality experience? And what, I mean, I guess maybe a better question would be is like, first, how do you define hospitality? You.
So you want people. So I think there's like requirements for a good restaurant:
Mm-hmm.
great food, great service. Those are the technical aspects.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a restaurant should have that. Obviously, restaurants don't all have that, and it's disappointing and it sucks. But what hospitality is, you make people feel seen and special. Mike Anthony said one time about like asparagus. It's like, cooking the first asparagus of the season at home on a Wednesday night can make a dinner, on a Wednesday night dinner, feel something very special. So like there's so many opportunities in my head to do that for a guest. So yeah, we can get excited about the first sun gold tomatoes and like serve it as a canapé with our ricotta that we make and just something simple that's delicious. But that's hospitality. But I think it is like really making sure people feel special.
How do you go about teaching that though to new people coming through the door? And it's like maybe they don't have a ton of experience, and maybe they don't have a ton of experience at that level.
Right.
So what are some tangible things that you teach people right away that might not fully get it yet?
I think it's like, first off, be yourself. I think people can sense. I think you have to be confident. I think you have to be genuine. And even if you aren't like great at something, that's fine. That doesn't really matter. Like we talk about, well, let's serve from the right and clear from, yeah, that's great. And like, let's think about that when we're busy. It's like we always talk about like, let's control what we could control, because when we're busy, there's so much we can't. So like, let's focus on things. But at the end of the day, like, don't let doing something not quite proper affect the experience. So like, just be yourself. I've had like meals at Michelin restaurants where it's amazing and the food is incredible. Well, you can sense the service team kind of break their act, and it ruins the whole experience to me. To where like the best meal of my life.
What do you mean like break their act?
Well, they're like,
without saying the restaurant, can you give me an example?
But they like, they're like happy and it feels like, oh, they're great and they love what they do. And then like towards the end of the meal, and this isn't even like the service declines. It's just like their smile changed, and like their voice changed, and it's like, what's going on here? And so my wife worked at Corton. She worked at Tabla and then Corton and Moss Farmhouse in front of the house, and she really, it drives her nuts, which obviously has changed the way I think about it and drives me nuts. Where like she doesn't love eating at like 2 or 3 Michelin restaurants because it feels so forced a lot of the time. And I think the amazing ones don't have that. Like my favorite meal of my life was at Quince in San Francisco.
Okay, yeah.
And we were on the way to Napa for a week with my wife's siblings to have a good time. And the first night, my brother and sister-in-law, who lived in New York as well, we all had dinner. We had a great time riding like the go-karts around the city and just had a great day. And we had dinner and we were like making jokes, laughing. And I can like still remember the server like reaching in and adding to our commentary in a great way and like laughing with us. And it's like, that's what it's about, like that feeling. And like, I don't know, that's real, Yeah. And that's what's special.
You just reminded me of something. It's not related, but I went to a restaurant. I was with some chefs, and the server was so awkward. We were all laughing at the table, and then he walked up and says, what are we laughing about? What's the joke?
Yeah.
It was like, what? It was like, wait, what's happening? And he wanted it, like, and he was dead serious. He wanted to know what the joke was.
Yeah.
It was like is this is like a fucking sketch from a SNL or
Yeah.
something. It was weird.
When that's how, like, this moment at this Michelin restaurant, there was this moment where I was like, wow, I think Megan might have said, feels like an SNL sketch, like, for real. And it's like, and those sketches kind of suck most of the time. And you're like, they do. It's like, why am I wanting to watch this? Because it's not great, but that sucks, you know? Like, it sucks when food is awesome, and that's why I think I've always felt like this because of my mentors, but, like, the hospitality is more important than anything.
So when was the last time you had a great experience, and what were some of the, like, what's the story? What was the last great experience with hospitality that you had?
So it actually wasn't in a restaurant, which is, like, a funny thing to talk about. Like, this is a side remark before I get to it, but, like, last week I was at a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, and I was talking to
great pizza, by the way.
I was talking to a dad who just, like, I just bought these businesses. They're like tutoring spaces for kids. And we started talking about hospitality, and you could tell his look changed, and he looked me in the eye when he heard me talk about it. And he's like, oh, he's like, you're right. It doesn't just apply to restaurants. And that's what's cool about it is, like, and we all know that now. Like, I think Will Cadera does that, and Danny, like, their skills are being used now in so many businesses.
Right.
The most hospitable thing or experience, actually, it's gonna be hard to say, but I was in Philly at the chef conference, and good friends of mine, Tracy and Arjov, showed up to the hotel, and Arjov pulled out 2 hats from Birdie's, and they had my brother's initials on the side. And all of our aprons at Birch have his initials here. He died of a heart attack last year, and he was a chef. But Arjov did that. He's like, these are your hats so that you can think about your brother. It's like, to me, that's hospitality.
Wow.
Like, and even coming up here or coming down to Austin, I was like, okay, when am I going to bring Tracy and Arjov? You know, like,
what'd you bring?
A wheel of raclette that, it's made like 30 minutes from the restaurant. It's a French guy that married a girl from Wisconsin, and it's like incredible. Yeah. But, like, it wasn't the act. I was like, okay, what should I do? Look what he did for me. But that's not what it's about. Yeah. But that moment is like, man, it's fucking, that's awesome.
An incredible story.
Yeah.
Like, wow. I mean, our job was.
But it's like that. That's
great.
That's the. I mean, that's it. Right? Yeah. It's like, you can't explain it. You can't teach it. It also is just like, I think hospitality has these moments where, like, meaning, like, yeah, just do this, just treat people in a genuine way, and it works.
Yeah.
And be thoughtful. And that's our thing. Be thoughtful.
Yeah. Something for you, meant for you, that's going to be special to you.
Yeah.
Right. It's a one of one.
Yeah.
It's a one of one experience.
And, like, those hats don't fit my big head. So I'm like, shit, I can't wear it. Yeah. But, you know, I'm like, it's just, you can't replicate it.
No, that's an incredible story. And that's a great, and our job's, like, I'd put him up there as, like, one of the best at hospitality.
And Tracy.
Yeah, and Tracy. I mean, we were talking about that earlier. Yeah, he's
it's
great.
Like, and I think, and he, you know, he's her biggest supporter.
They're up for a James Beard, right?
Yeah,
he is.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love them. We're in the same. My wife and I, like, she's front of the house, I'm back of the house.
Yeah.
We have kids. It's kind of, I respect who they are and what they do. We also connect so well with them, and they're special.
Yeah. What do do they have the raclette warmer?
Well, that's the thing. I was like, they're like, oh, we're just gonna give this family meal. I'm like, no, like, slice it. And, well, he's like, we'll slice it and charge like $20. It's like, no, like, we use it. It's a cool story. There's a show, a PBS show called Wisconsin Foodie.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, they called me and they're like, hey, Tuesday, we're making this cheese and we need to bring it somewhere that the cheesemaker can bring it and hand it to a chef and make a dish.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, great. And I was like, I'm going to shave it over a salad. Like, we love vegetable dishes covered in cheese. It's like, oh, great. And, like, the night before, I was like, you know, we had this dish at Gramercy back in the day. It was a sweetbread dish. It was grilled sweetbreads with a bacon broth.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good.
And and some Brussels leaves or something. I was like, I just loved it so much. And so I actually took like a wedge, and everybody loves wedges of cabbage now too. That's like obviously a thing. So we grilled it over our fire at Birch and then separated it in 3 sections, layered this raclette with some sliced apple. And,
inside the cabbage.
Yeah. And a bunch of fresh herbs. And it melted. And then you pour the bacon broth over it. And then so that dish has become like...
Fuck, that sounds good.
You know... What's cool about Wisconsin is like you go to the farmers market and civilians are there fighting you for cucumbers and peppers. That's crazy. But like we get all these people that watch that episode to come in.
Do you have a photo of that?
The dish?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Will you send it to me so when we're doing the podcast, I could put it up so people could see what you're talking about?
I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But what's cool is like, so we do that every winter now, which like I'm 100% cool with repeating things that people love that define a restaurant. I think chefs struggle with that. Or like, hey, let's not repeat. And I have that mentality kind of, but also like, no, like this is a dish that represents Birch and it makes people so happy. Yeah. And it's delicious. And I think a lot of the time you put dishes together, they're like, oh, this is pretty good.
I agree with you. Like when chefs say don't repeat ingredients and things like I get it. But at the end of the day, sometimes I think we get caught up too much in like what our rules are, like the chef paradigm is.
I think it messes us up here.
Yeah, and like we forget, like fucking people love it.
Yeah,
keep giving them what they love.
But like when you taste a good dish and then you taste something that's banging, there's a moment when you have that banging dish. Yeah, that's like, fuck yeah. Yeah. So if you have that dish and you can do it,
don't take it off the menu. Yeah, it's great. Like, people come back for it.
Yeah, so we do it like 3 months of the year or whatever. So that cheese is awesome there. But we actually a cassis dish is a play on a croque with that cheese. Yeah. And now that's like our favorite dish for the new restaurant. So it's a special cheese, and the guy that makes it.
I mean, it's pretty stinky.
I mean, you should have like I through TSA yesterday, even in Wisconsin, the guards were like, ooh, like it's like you know, but it's awesome. You know, we tried this dish with Rush Creek, which is this cheese kind of like Winnemere that Jasper Hill makes. So it's wrapped in bark. It's made in like with winter milk, so it's like made in like December and January, and it's really special. So we tried it making this croque with that, and it was delicious. But then I was like, let's try it with the raclette. We love this cheese, and we love the couple that makes it, and it's like, oh, this is banging, and it's like it's awesome.
I mean, you're right there in Wisconsin. I mean, people fucking love cheese up there.
I mean, they love cheese, but like I said, like going to the market, bushels of peppers, cucumber, everything. 75-year-old women and couples are taking it away. Yeah. Actually, like I don't see any chefs at the markets. I like fight with them. Yeah. But then like I walk away with, we buy all of our produce comes from this one market, like everything. And these, old Midwesterners who never probably would eat in a nice restaurant. Yeah. They're like, Jerry, where's I going? And it's like Birch. Well, they come to Birch.
By the way, I don't think I've ever seen a chef at the market. Ever. Like in my entire life. I've never bumped into another chef at a farmer's market. So like
going to Union, so whatever, 2008 to 2020, I went to Union Square Market. Yeah. Like that was my home. Uh-huh. The only time I cried when I left New York was actually, I said bye to Zaid from Norwich Meadows. I went and got my car. I was like, wow, this is tough. It was like, this changed my life and how I think. Mm-hmm. But you go to that market at 7 a.m. and it's like, you see Dan Barber, you see everybody.
Really?
It's pretty cool. Like
everyone's there, huh? Shopping,
trying to get their, like Lonnie is one of the coolest farms. They'll have like burpless cucumbers in like March before really anything happens. Yeah. And you're like, oh, we just need those. We need some life right now. Yeah. So yeah.
You're lucky, man. I've never bumped into another chef at the farmer's market. I'm lying. I probably have, but it's just funny because there's a lot of chefs that do it, and there's a lot of chefs that say they do it and they don't do it.
Which is like, when our job was on your show, I think he said like, great food should be part of a great restaurant, and we already said that sitting here. Where like to me, people ask me, oh, what kind of restaurant is Birch? It's boring and sucks to try to say because it's like what everybody says. But our food is like really driven by produce. Uh-huh. Like I think Magnus Nilsson said like you can't make delicious food without great produce.
Right.
And like, to me, it's so easy. It's just like, why don't people do it? And like, people don't love produce like we do, but like, this tastes so much different than this. So like, why not let that help?
I think part of it is because I don't think people know that. Like, I think they know it, but they don't really know it. And there's a moment for me as a chef when I was in San Francisco. I was going through the farmer's market, and I was with a group of chefs, and there's a grape vendor, and they're like, "Hey, try this grape." I'm like, I'm all right. I've had a grape before. And to placate them, the chef that I was with took the grape and he's like, "Fuck, try this grape."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, I'm all right." Like, and they kept pestering me. I was like, "Fine, I'll try the grape." But I was kind of annoyed by it. And I remember it was like a Ratatouille moment. I tried the grape and it was like a fucking grape times 10.
Yeah.
And I never had a grape that good. And it blew my mind. And I was like, what the fuck did I just have?
Yeah.
I've never had a grape and I've never had a grape that good since. And it was at that moment, and I was young. I was maybe like 25. But it was at that moment in my career as a chef that I realized, wow, ingredients do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Like I heard it, but I understood it.
Yeah.
It was at that moment that I understood. And then you try the olive oil. It was like, that olive oil is way better than that olive oil. And this tomato is way better than that tomato.
Where like, you can use, I don't know, you can use butter to make things taste good. Like, we don't use barely any butter at Birch, just in our few pastas. But like, to me, you want things that taste like the best version of that ingredient.
Yeah.
To where like, this farmer in New York told me, I went to London for like 3 months to open a restaurant with another chef. I came back, and Zaid from this restaurant in New York, farm in New York, is like, London was great, but I think European produce actually all kind of tastes the same. Like a green bean, asparagus, a snap pea, they all like taste like a green vegetable. Mm-hmm. And they don't have like these defining characteristics and flavors. And it's 100% true.
Yeah.
So like, if you want to make tasty food,
use good ingredients.
Yeah. It's like, and also I think most of us, our attention span is like, okay, I'm tired of this, move on, tired of this, move on. So like, if you do cook properly in the season, when you're like, I love asparagus so much and I only cook and eat it like 2 months, but I'm ready for the next thing.
Yeah. And it's not just the produce, but it's also the dairy, and it's also the good cheese, and it's also the good seafood and beef and bread. I mean, it's like when everything is clicking and you got that, and you got all these great ingredients and they're in season and they're fresh, and then you know how to cook. Yeah. Right. And that's like, that's the other part. Like, you got to know how to cook. Yeah. Like, okay, you got all this paint, but you know how to fucking paint.
Right. And it's like, I like recall a moment seeing like a steelhead tartare in a mixing bowl. Mm-hmm. And I like to dress it with like really good olive oil and a little lemon. And like, there's not much in the bowl but the fish, but it's dressed properly to where I've seen where it's like, there's so much like liquid and other stuff in the bowl. Yeah. What's it gonna, like, you're losing it all. Right. It's all draining out, and like, there's no restraint obviously, but there's nothing pure about it to where like you hit those dishes that are like simple, clean, and pure. You're like, man,
that's glossy, not wet.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and like, don't get me wrong. Yeah. There's olive oil and it's like shiny and beautiful. Yeah. And the fish isn't cooked from salt or acid. And, but that's what's delicious. And it took me like, I use a lot of lemon. Like, we use squeezers like crazy. Yeah. And it took me a while it wasn't actually until Birch, I was like, let's not actually put lemon in this part because it covers up the steelhead. Let's just put it on top, which is interesting. Like, if you mix it in, it changes it to where if you don't season it all, like season it with acid and just squeeze on top, you get the pop of acidity. But then the fish actually tastes more like itself.
Are you a fan of all types of citrus, like for finishing, or do you like lemon?
Lemon and lime. Yeah. And I always like, a beverage director we had at Maysville said he makes cocktails, if he uses lime, he always uses a little lemon because I think lime can create this a little almost sweetness a little bit, where like a little squeeze of lemon balances it well. But like lemon,
interesting, yeah.
Lemon is massive for me.
It's your go-to.
Like, huge.
Yeah.
Like, events before, our chefs are like, yeah, we go through like 6 pounds of butter when I work a station the other day. I'm like, Like, that's not, to me, you're you're covering flavor up. I don't even know what station they're talking about or whatnot, but a chef flexing about that, it's just like, really, what the fuck? To where like us, yeah, we'll go through like 6 quarts of lemon squeezers like on our pasta station.
Yeah. Interesting. So you're not a fan of butter?
Oh, I like butter.
You like butter on bread and stuff like that?
And I like glaze, like we have so like with dairy in Wisconsin, our ricotta that we make,
Yeah.
I think it's like, I feel like it's a Gavin Kaysen recipe. So whatever, we cook it in the bag at a low temperature, and the curds are like really small. We drain it overnight, and then we whip incredible cream back into it. But that's like always a filled pasta we always have, and it changes whatever 15 times a year of what's with it. And it's glazed with pasta water and butter, but there's a fuck ton of lemon juice. And it's like, that's the flavor, like, that works. And like, as a young cook, a lemon beurre blanc is like boring, but incredible.
Yeah. It's funny. I worked for a chef years ago, and then this chef that I had worked under was like a Ducasse person. They had come up in the Ducasse kitchens. And one of the things that I picked up from working there was what they did with butter. And they would like, I mean, this were what we did. I don't know how like Ducasse this was. This is what we did. They would simmer like chicken bones in butter, and then they'd use the chicken bones for stock or whatever. But they'd save the chicken butter. So you'd have like this chicken brown butter, or they'd have. I think and it was great. Like
I think I've heard you talk about this.
Yeah, it was fucking delicious.
We at Maysville, we would cook. So I love chicken in our brick.
Yeah.
And so we'd cook like a young chicken, no bones, under a brick and baste it with brown butter.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we're pouring off a lot of brown butter. So we started to save that butter.
Yeah.
And we made canapes, and we called them baster biscuits.
Yeah.
And it was that butter that we basted the chicken with, we'd put in the biscuit, and it was like, wow, this is incredible.
It's so flavorful.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, at the same time, butter can take a lot of flavor from something.
Yes.
And I think that's what you were.
Yeah. The chicken brown butter was like the secret weapon that we would use.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we'd mix it with whatever little acid or a sherry vinegar or something. But it was one of those we put in the pipette and no one see it.
Yeah.
Garnish the chicken with a little bit before it goes out. I think one of the things that's missing from the conversation today with a lot of chefs, but I think it's an important topic that needs to be discussed, and I'm curious to get your take on it. Balance. How do you balance being successful? But I also know, you got a family. So how do you balance 2 restaurants soon to be?
Yeah.
Being a great chef, pushing for excellence, but also being present when you're not chef.
Sure. Yeah, like balance is huge, and I think maybe I'll talk backwards with it. So to answer your question, is like to have a team that you can trust, and like obviously like trust them to do the job, but trust them to motivate, and obviously to make sure guests are taken care of. And to me, like that really means like last summer we traveled a lot for food stuff, for family stuff, for not great stuff, but I was away from Birch a lot. And our CDC Zach and our GM Jeff, the guests love them as much as they love talking to them and seeing them as much as they feel the same way as if I'm there. And that's gold to me. Like,
so you're able to go away.
Yeah, but like
you need to,
it's gold, meaning like it's the Birch way. And people will say, I hate it when people say like, well, that's how chef wants it, or it's like, no, like what happens at Birch is what's best for Birch, and it's the Birch way. Who created that? I did.
Yeah.
But it's not like what I want. It's what I think the Birch way is. And so like, it's amazing that hospitality, people being driven by hospitality have like, that's come from Birch, and like Birch has fostered that in the people. So to me, not being at the restaurant and seeing that, it was like, okay, yeah, we can definitely open a new restaurant. I think that is key. Is like finding those people, like not about making this dish properly. Of course that matters. And that can vary. And it's frustrating to like, I was at James Beard boot camp last week. So I got back to Birch. I was at Birch 2 days this week before coming on here. And there were some things where I was like, yeah, this isn't exactly right, but it's delicious. And like, that's not what's important. What's important is like the team's humming,
Mm-hmm.
the front of the house is humming, we're an open kitchen, and the whole restaurant is like, oh, everything feels great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard as a chef, I think, to like realize that, because if in those moments at service, let's say Wednesday night, I was like, oh, that's fucked up, that's fucked up, that's fucked up. And I was running the board. It's like, it's just going to take me down, and it's going to change the whole dynamic of, first off, the restaurant tonight and the guests that are there tonight. What that means also, I'm changing the dynamic of this restaurant before I go down to Austin for 4 days, which is like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I need this place to be where it should be when I'm not there. And so finding those people that are hospitality driven and you can trust is like by far what's giving me balance. For sure.
And how do you how do you disconnect? Because I'm certain you're probably always on, I would imagine,
Yeah.
but there's other times that you got to be present with what's in front of you, and not that might not be the restaurant.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Like this guy Matt, who we hired in December to be like help me develop Cassis and stuff. He's like, and he's been in restaurants for a long time. He's worked for a lot of great chefs. He's like, man, you have the perfect life. And he said it. It could be it could have come across as someone being a smart ass or something, but I looked at him, I was like, I truly do. And like, what he meant was like, he knows I love my kids and my wife, and I have a great life out of work. He knows that Birch is amazing and what we do there is great. He sees me come in and he's like, it feels so great when you walk around and talk to the cooks, the guests or whatever. But like, to me, when I leave work, my car ride home at night, I call my wife, I talk to her.
Yeah.
And I would say 98% of the time, it's like, how was your night? Oh, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like awesome. On the way to work, I'm like, I hate leaving like my kids, but I'm fucking excited to go to work.
Yeah.
I just told you, like, I listen to podcasts. It's like, it's fun I feel like I'm like a basketball player or something on the way to the game where it's like, I'm going to get hyped up.
Yeah.
So I walk in there, I'm hit, like I'm ready to roll, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like cutting off, I don't know. I feel very fortunate to like leave and be excited and at the same time know things are great. And, you know, yeah, I think that comes with like the team and all that good stuff.
Do you do anything in particular, like ritual or anything like that for you to stay centered?
So the one thing I care, like my one moment of the week that I have to have, and if I'm traveling or what, I don't get to have it. On Sundays, I like to stay at home, make dinner, and drink like killer wine.
Yeah.
And if I don't do that, I don't feel like I ever reset. That's like my thing. And like talking to the team about taking care of themselves out of work and going out and drinking too much and stuff, I bring that up a lot. It's like, look, it's okay to go out and drink. That's fine. Like, I'm telling you, I do it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But find your thing that's your release that you can look forward to, first off, I think is important.
Mm-hmm.
But then do and do it, you know?
Like if you could go back in time and give that young version of you advice, like maybe don't do this or do this, like what sort of course correction would you give advice to yourself that might save you some headaches later on, whether it's opening the restaurant or even as a young chef when you were in New York?
I think this is a common thing. I wish I took care of myself a little bit more out of work. So after I opened, it was Maysville, New York, and Kinston's, New Orleans. I left the company after like 7 years, and I created good habits. I lost a lot of weight. I quit drinking a ton, and it showed me like, yeah, I like did a great job before. I could have only done so much better if I did that.
Yeah.
And then I think creating real habits. I think probably the shittiest thing to when someone says like, oh, what else do you love besides cooking? There's not much there. It's like, I love music, no doubt. Like, I love my family and I love work. I love food and I love wine. Very simple, like I don't play guitar and I like the Bucks actually. I like the NBA and that's like my go-to to really focus on. But I wish earlier I would have found time to dig into something to keep with me for a while.
I'm going to ask you just some random chef questions as we start kind of getting close to the end here. Let's go through like your station, right? You're working the pass. Is that where you work normally?
I've actually tried not to as of recent. We actually had a guest he comes in once a week, him and his wife. They own an awesome coffee company in Milwaukee. He sat at the counter by himself. And he's like, oh, you're expediting tonight. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I've never seen you do that. I'm like, really? I think like a year ago, I really was like, if we're going to grow, the CDC, Zach, or one of the sous chefs needs to do it. But I will still expo and do it. And I think I'm very specific about everything.
So let's just say you're on the line.
Yep.
You're working the pass.
Yep.
You're calling tickets tonight. What's on your station?
A cutting board.
Is
Towel.
There a specific cutting board that you like?
Yeah, it's the
tan ones.
beige,
Yeah. The
it has my initials on.
polyethylene.
Yeah. So there's a towel that's clean, drenched, and rolled up tight that my knife sits on. If I use it, the chances are probably not.
Specific type of knife?
It's a Ninox slicer, but it's something I've done for 15 years now. So
yeah,
like always, even like Wednesday, I was packing up food to come down here. So the first 20 minutes, which I hate, not starting service. Like to me, someone told me a long time ago, it's like, get your station prepped, grab espresso, go outside and drink it.
Okay.
And come back in. That's like the best thing. That's the best advice I've ever been given, I think.
Yeah. Prep, espresso, back at it.
3-5 minutes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just go do that. And like that for me, I'll drink it and then I just walk around the dining room and just, even through service, I've always, if I have a harder service, those are services I didn't walk around the dining room where I'm just like glued to, I don't know, like forced service to work. The successful ones that are killer are like, I walked around the dining room 10, 15 times, looked at everybody in the eye, and make sure we knew everybody that was there. But so there's always a towel rolled up, my slicer. That makes me feel like safe.
Yeah.
And then
you said you have your towels folded next to you. Is that what you said?
It's a towel rolled up.
Oh, got it.
And the knife tilted, like the tip sitting on the towel.
Yeah.
So that the knife doesn't move.
Yeah.
And is there if whatever it needs to be, and like, to me, it's like, hey, like we have lamb ribs on the menu. If the guy working the hearth can't slice them, he'll pass them up. I'll pop them down, but then that towel in one motion can wipe clean.
Yeah.
And you can roll the other way so it looks the exact same it did when you started.
Right.
So that's like
little
very
finesse.
much.
That's a little finesse.
Yeah. It's that's 100%. Somebody from Per Se taught me that.
Yeah.
Which means that's finesse,
Yeah.
The clock's always in the exact same spot. Everything's the same, to where like I went to stab a ticket on the server side the other night, and I'm like, where's the spike? Like why is that not there?
Yeah.
And that's like, we're very.
Do you stack your tickets like very meticulously? They're all straight or not really?
It depends. I like throwing my tickets away.
Yeah.
So if I get 5 tickets on there, I'll throw them away. Less clutter, the better.
Yeah.
Like, one thing I struggle with the chefs that are expedited Birch now, they'll keep the yellow and white ticket the whole time through someone's meal.
Yeah.
Like, get rid of the white when you don't need it after appetizers. Like, that's an added piece of something that could fuck shit up.
Yeah.
And also, like,
visual clutter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, get rid of that.
What salter is on your station?
Malden.
Malden, yeah. What does the kitchen use?
Diamond Crystal,
Diamond
which after I moved to New York, so we always used Morton's when I worked for Frank. Moved to New York, I used Diamond Crystal. I never thought about it. I was just a cook. I was like, yeah, whatever. I went to help my mentor Frank. Thomas Keller was doing a book tour for Ad Hoc, and Dave Cruz was the chef. And I remember him saying, "Oh, you only have Morton's? We got to figure this out. I can't do this." And I was like, "Oh, that's weird." Me now, like I can't cook with it.
Yeah.
It's like it's like I fuck shit up.
With Morton's.
Yeah.
It's funny. At home right now, I have Morton's, and I haven't had Morton's in a long time. And it's so weird. Like, I don't know why every single piece of Morton's salt looks like it was mechanically cut.
Yeah.
Like, it just has a weird texture to it.
And also, like, yeah, you have no control with it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I always, when Diamond Crystal's in my fingers, like, grind it a little bit.
Yeah,
But I probably
yeah.
do a little bit.
Yeah. This,
And it, like,
Yeah.
it's just a habit.
I do the same thing with Maldon before it goes on any meat or anything.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just a little crunch.
But if I have Morton's at home, I probably won't actually season the food because I'm like, I don't want to do it because it'll be too salty. I'm like,
Yeah.
which Megan will be like, oh, dinner's good. It's like, yeah, well,
Yeah, Morton's. I'm not a fan of Morton's. I like Diamond Crystal. Anyway, we digress. Acid, lemon, vinegar. What do you do? Or a combination of both?
combination like lemon is massive. My hat is acid and herbs and
Cool hat, by the way. Who made it?
I did.
You did, yeah.
That's my handwriting.
Yeah, acid and herbs.
I have a lot of ideas and thoughts behind where this could go, but
Yeah,
right now it's just the hat I wear. I gave them to everybody and no one wears them.
yeah.
And it's like, oh, ours.
It's
Like, oh, that's your hat, huh?
Like a concert reference.
Yeah, it's funny because like dads at my son's school are like, yeah, acid and herbs. I'm like, no, I'm not going to the Dead show like that you are, even though you're like whatever. But yeah, lemons 100%. And what's cool, obviously, with the squeezer, the oils that shoot off when you use it, it's like, so like to me, lemon juice in a bottle was like 100,000% no.
So you bring something up, and so the other day I was in a kitchen, and I know what you mean by lemon squeezer, but I noticed the other day is like fucking people have seeds in them. And every single chef that I talk to that's like lemon, citrus, like we all know, lemon squeezers, no seeds.
Yeah.
But can you explain to people that are listening, how do you cut a lemon squeezer where you're at?
Well, it's funny. Like, I had a sous chef that worked at the Essex House when I worked at GT. His name was Joe. He opened a restaurant called Dover in Battersby. One of the, I think, most badass chefs I've ever worked with. I remember him like yelling at somebody. It's like, you're wasting so much because you think because it's easier. But to me, you barely cut the top off, the bottom off, and you stand them up. And you don't do it one by one because that's obviously dumb. So you line them all up, and then you cut them in quarters, and then you take the inside out just a little bit, like barely. Great lemons. You don't have to sit there and fuck with the seeds much, but
Right.
and then you just pop the seeds out with your knife. That's it.
So they're not exactly lemon cheeks then.
Oh no, these are like these are squeezers.
Yeah. Okay.
There's more where I'm like, who fucking cut these squeezers when they're like half? I'm like,
Yeah.
this is stupid.
Yeah.
This takes 8 to use on a dish.
And
We're like, I mean, when we're flowing and having a great service.
you ever just squeeze the lemon juice in advance and just put in bottles?
No, I hate it.
You hate it, yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Why?
Like you smell the bottle and you're like,
Yeah.
Mike Anthony would walk over to your station when he was cooking for a VIP. He would take your squeezer.
Yeah.
He would squeeze in his hand and taste it. And if you cut those squeezers the day before, it's like,
Really?
yeah, which is like,
I've never done that. I don't do the juice in the bottle, but I've seen people do it. I know certain people like Comey comes in, juice for everybody. I'm not a fan of it. I definitely would never use the lazy lemon. So,
just
I'm talking about
screen over it?
No, you buy it.
Oh.
It comes in a jug. Like I would never use that.
Yeah.
I always cut my lemons, but I've seen some people I know like the juice, like they juice it and it goes out. I'm not a fan of that. What about your tape? What's the tape in the kitchen, chef? Is it green or is it blue or is it no tape?
it's blue. And
It's blue?
A lot of times the last restaurant in New York that I opened, it was green.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we use blue at Grand Mercy. And I was like, I'm going to do blue. And a lot of times I'm like, I want to switch back to green. And I was like, it'd be a lot of work.
I was talking with Aaron Bludor and I were talking about this. He's like team blue, like this Danielle blue or Thomas Keller green, right?
Yeah, that's true. Like 100%. And like Mike Anthony came from Danielle, and it's like that's why we use blue at GT. I assume, the green's tighter, but
I like it's easier to read.
That's right. Yeah, it's like you're gonna walk in, and like, But we have like so many pickles and shit. It's like I don't want blue and green.
Yeah.
So we're not changing.
What's something that you do in the kitchen that you think a lot of people would benefit from knowing this? Like, is there something that's very unique to your kitchen, like a process or a procedure?
I mean, I do think like the lemon squeezer is a lot of people do it.
Yeah.
To us, it's like we go through probably 12 quarts of squeezers a night.
Yeah.
So it's like really big. When we make any kind of soup, or I like using canola oil and stuff, where a guy that works with me now, it's like, well, you're just hiding the flavor with canola. My answer is like canola doesn't have any flavor. So like you use canola as a tool to make something have great mouthfeel.
Yeah. Like unctuousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's important. So like when I make a chilled soup or whatever, we always use a little bit of XG, just a tiny bit. Mm-hmm. But then definitely canola oil.
If you had like Mount Rushmore of chefs out there, who'd you put up there? Why you laugh?
Because I've listened to your episodes. I'm like, well,
who's the Mount Rushmore?
I mean, I think Thomas Keller, like, to me, I think changed 80% of American chefs' lives, I'd say, maybe more.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fortunate, and it's corny to say, but like Frank Stitt and Mike Anthony are my mentors, and to me, they're on there.
Yeah.
They obviously changed my life. Alice Waters. I think Jose Andres has taken the thought of, like we've said a few times, of restaurants should have great food. That should be understood. Man, this guy has like fun, amazing restaurants. The food is incredible and fun, but he's changing the world.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's pretty wild.
He's living it, right? Like he's fucking walking the talk.
Yeah. And like everything he does is great. It's like, how does he do this? How, if you're in Mexico City in a hotel and you're at whatever the restaurant is, it's not just delicious, but like pretty and fun.
Yeah.
Because I always like, in New York, we'd go out to a fancy restaurant and it's like, oh, it's good, but you can tell they don't use great produce. I always love Le Bernardin because it's seafood focused. And so it's like great, It sucks to go have an amazing meal and be like, these vegetables kind of suck. But Jose Andres' food always has a ton of flavor.
Yeah.
It doesn't rely on produce, obviously, but he's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's good. If you had a chef's PSA out there, what is it?
Be thoughtful and treat everything and everyone how you want to be treated.
Awesome,
I
chef.
know it's like a easy thing, but it's true,
Golden rule. Yeah.
To me, you don't want to feel isolated. You don't want people working for you to feel like afraid, threatened, or isolated because they're not going to cook with love.
Yeah.
And so it's going to suck.
Yeah.
So like, don't put anyone in that position.
Well, where can people find you if they want to continue to follow along?
My Instagram is Kyle Knall, y'all. My wife came up with it. One of the best handles, I think, out there. Birch on Pleasant, Cassis MKE, and Birch.
Yeah.
In Milwaukee.
We'll have to come see you, chef.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, we'll have you back on soon.
I love it.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Brother.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. You know what to do. Make sure you leave 5 stars if you're listening on Spotify or anywhere, really. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. I'd completely revamped the Chef's PSA store, shop.chefspsa.com. My team added a ton of new items. I advise you to go check it out. Just peruse, look around. Maybe you see something nice that you like. Keep supporting the show. Go to chefspsa.com. You get books, obviously the merch, early access to episodes on Substack and Spotify for premium members. We'll see you next week. Hit the porno music.
Yo, it's André in the kitchen, mixing, dropping chef knowledge, no fiction, stirring up the beats, heating up the session. Listen close, classes in session.